All right, so here we go. Let's dive into the latest happenings around Cyberpunk 2077, because guess what? Yes, Cyberpunk did win a Game of the Year award. I kid you not, I'll explain in just a moment. Plus, we're going to be talking about that class action lawsuit that CD Projekt Red has been dealing with related to the launch of Cyberpunk 2077. It's seeing some major progress, and it looks like CD Projekt Red and investors are both going to be coming out ahead on this one, but us gamers, not so much. I'll also explain that as well. Plus, we're going to be talking about Halo Infinite. This game right here, right now, is the shining beacon in the gaming industry on why you need to delay a game by an entire year. It is so worth it. This game has received high praise and reviews. Also, by the way, check out my latest video about the open world Matrix Awakens Unreal 5 demonstration. This is actual gameplay, my recorded gameplay. I kid you not. This is the future. It is absolutely mind-blowing, and I'm a huge fan of the Matrix, but check out that video in the description below. Follow the link. Let me know what you think of it. But yes, let's dive into this. Let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077. And a lot of you guys are wondering, what in the world are you talking about regarding this Game of the Year award for Cyberpunk? Check it out right here. It says Cyberpunk wins IGN Japan's Game of the Year for 2021. It looks like Japan absolutely loves and adores Cyberpunk 2077. Let me know, do you think Cyberpunk deserves a Game of the Year award? There's a lot of people that still absolutely love this game and say, hey, it's got a good story, good characters. I know about all this other stuff. I know how to rough launch, but I don't care. I'm still enjoying the game. If that's you, sound off in the comments down below. But also, Palace Hasco of CD Projekt Red is celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Cyberpunk on his Twitch stream, December 12th. Check it out, twitch.tv/Palace Hasco if you want to join in and say hello and, say, keep up the good work or something like that. But anyway, check this out right here. It says the Cyberpunk 2077 class action lawsuit may soon be over. So this is definitely an interesting story that we have been following, and it's finally seeing some major progress here. It says CD Projekt has entered settlement talks with investors who sued over its botched Cyberpunk launch. Company was accused of violating federal laws by misleading shareholders over the game's quality. So we're going to be looking at this in 3 parts: from the investor's perspective, CD Projekt Red as a company, and of course us, another victim in all this, the gamers. But let's dive into what was said here. It says, in May, CD Projekt confirmed that 4 class action lawsuits filed in the US have been consolidated, and that a lead plaintiff had been appointed ahead of potential common court proceedings. But in a regulatory update on Wednesday, CD Projekt said it had been informed by its law firm that the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California had suspended proceedings concerning the motion to dismiss due to the parties having entered into negotiations concerning a potential settlement. So it's not, it doesn't look like it's going to go to the courtroom. You're not going to see like an entire jury and, saying guilty as charged. It's going into a more private settlement-like environment, and CD Projekt Red is hoping to keep this like hush-hush and give money to investors, what have you. But it says here, right here, it says the filing continues. It says, should a consensus be reached with regard to the conditions of the potential settlement, the parties will file for its approval by the court. The decision on whether to approve the settlement and permit its implementation shall be, issued by the court once certain additional formal conditions are satisfied. This is where it gets interesting. It says, it should also be noted that entering into negotiations concerning a potential settlement should in no way be construed as acceptance by the company, that's CD Projekt Red, or members of its management board of any allegations expressed in the plaintiff's court filings. And this is just another way of saying that CD Projekt Red will not admit to guilt. They won't admit to any wrongdoing if the settlement is reached at all. They just want to wipe their hands clean of this one and pay people and move on. That's where we as gamers lose. You have these companies that release a botched launch. They get tons of pre-order numbers, really good numbers. I mean, they, during the year they released Cyberpunk, it was their best earnings ever for the company. And of course, they're going to set aside some settlement money. And other companies, gaming companies, are going to see this. They're going to do the same, and we're going to see a continuation of botched launches where they just try to update the game. It's just like an absolute mess of a thing. However, if you look at this on a good side of things, you have the developers. They won't have the distraction of a big lawsuit in their way. They can focus in on this game, hone in, and really, update the game, get the expansions done, and not have a big distraction over their heads during the course of developing this game. And it's such a shame. If they would have just delayed this by a year, they wouldn't have seen a lot of talent leave the studio, in my mind, at least. Maybe that could happen. Some people just get bored of things. They like to move on to new projects and exciting things. But it really, really is interesting, because we got to talk about Halo Infinite amidst all of this, because Halo Infinite shows Cyberpunk 2077 how tough delays yield great results. And this is an absolutely fascinating read here from Forbes, of course. Description, check out the description for sources, but we're going to go over some of what was said here in this article right now. So first of all, let's talk about Halo Infinite and what they did. 343 Studios made the best decision here. It says it was supposed to be launch game for Xbox Series XS in fall 2020. That's such a big deal. Cyberpunk did not have the pressure that Halo Infinite even had. This was supposed to be the flagship launch title to Microsoft's brand new next-gen console, and guess what? They still delayed it. That to me really takes some balls, I guess you'd say. And then we have a lackluster campaign preview sparked not just a small delay, but a massive one, a full year, where the game just launched this past week, and it's gotten so many good reviews. People are loving it. Is it the best graphics? Of course. I feel like it's very artistic, but it's not going to be anything that's oh my God, this is mind-blowing. What's really, really good about the game is the gameplay, and it's very artistic, and it's got this open worldy stuff too, which is really, really cool for Halo. Now, it continues saying a year of polish has led to rave reviews for both its campaign and multiplayer components, with the game being heralded as the best Halo since the Bungie era, and maybe even further back than that. And yes, there's been some controversy with Halo Infinite, and I guess some of the microtransactions, since the multiplayer is free, which is another interesting thing with Halo, how they've separated the campaign and multiplayer. But anyway, it goes on to say this now. It serves as a strong foundation for a generation of Halo content built on this platform. And this bit right here actually is interesting to Cyberpunk, because imagine if this game had launched without any problems. It would have been this perfect platform for them to continue building off of and immediately begin work on additional cool stuff to the game. But instead, they had to back up, and for the past year, fix the game and get to the point of being a release title, I guess you would say. It's just a shame that it wasn't at that point from the get-go. But back to Halo, or I should say, we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk right now. We have this one right here. What did Cyberpunk 2077 do? It says, after being delayed twice in 2020, CD Projekt Red executives refused to delay another time out of December 2020, despite the objections of its developers. Now, there's good news in this more recently, because yes, they did delay that next-gen update, and they actually, this time, guess what? Listened to their developers instead of the investors and the board. They actually were like, you know what? We're going to finally listen to you guys. We're sorry about the launch, but you guys were right the entire time. Besides, they're the ones developing the actual game. They're in the trenches. Then we have this. It says the game launched and sold well, but very quickly players realized it was unfinished and barely playable on some platforms. A rush of refund requests caused it to be delisted from the PlayStation Store for 6 months, which is unheard of. And sales cratered both there and on all platforms. And I think they're hoping to really revive this game, do some CPR to it by doing the next-gen updates here in 2022, especially when it comes to the console versions. They want more people playing the console versions. They're fine on PC. They want people back on those consoles. Now, it says CD Projekt Red stock sank 60% over the course of the year, and investors sued them in a lawsuit that is currently attempting to be settled. Player trust was broken and has yet to recover. Will it ever recover? We'll have to wait and see what CD Projekt Red does. That's up to them. A year later, Cyberpunk 2077 is in a more coherent state after a year's worth of hot fixes and patches, but it's easy to see how the narrative would have been changed if it had gotten the same year-long delay as Halo Now it too is trying to work towards building future content on top of the base game and has a much more steeper hill to climb with fans, the press, and investors. And CD Projekt reputation right now is very much tarnished because of all this, and it's such a shame. All right, so now it's time to, guess what? Go over your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. Can't wait to see what you guys had to say, but let's dive into this right now, shall we? So I did a really interesting video here about Starfield fans are in uproar over Cyberpunk 2077 comparisons. They're actually kind of like pissed off that, hey, people are saying Starfield is going to have as bad as a launch as Cyberpunk, and they're like, no, it's not going to happen. Let's see what you guys had to say about this one. We have Mr. Clever, who says, I fully expect Starfield to be Fallout in space. Hell yes. I'm expecting the typical Bethesda charm at launch. What I want to see is Dovahkiin drifting through space as an Easter egg from the Giants launching players into space. I would love to see that. Now, this is really interesting. There's been some Easter eggs in the Starfield trailers that are indicating that Starfield is in the same universe as, guess what, Skyrim. So that'd be cool if that was actually true. Or I should say the same universe as the Elder Scrolls. Now we have John, who says, people getting upset about this is ridiculous. Don't let other players diminish your excitement for a game, let alone waste energy getting upset about it, especially when it's a game that's not even out yet. On the other side of the fence, it's also fair for people to be cautious and are critical about the quality of the product they're willing to spend. And, you know, when it comes to being on either side of that fence, my go-to answer here is just don't pre-order. Wait for the game to release, see what's up, and then, you know, maybe wait for a price reduction if the game is having problems at launch. It's always an option. I don't know why people don't realize they actually do have options here. We have Ben, who says this, I would expect Starfield to be more polished than Bethesda's previous games because it's now owned by Microsoft and Xbox. Making a buggy mess would also impact the Xbox brand, so I would think Microsoft will make sure it is polished, I would think. Yeah. You know, that's definitely a very, very good point because Microsoft has seen stuff that we have not seen. They spent $7.5 billion on this acquisition. There has to be something good about what Bethesda is doing. That's all I have to say right there. And that's why I think people are getting hyped. I did also do that Matrix video. I wanted to go over some of the top comments from that one as well. Let's scroll down and see what you guys had to say about that. Zachary Mason says, not gonna lie, I want a Matrix game again. Being able to run around like this would be fun. Of course, I'd want to make my own character. So like maybe a Matrix RPG open world experience. Man, I want to see this fully fleshed out Matrix open world experience for sure. This just kills me that it's only a demonstration. Man, how cool would this be if it looked like this and was truly open world? This is like, look at the crashes. The physics behind the crashes are absolutely insane, by the way. But let's keep going with the top comments, shall we? Justin says this, it's getting harder and harder for the other engines to even compete with Unreal Engine, both in visual fidelity and versatility. It's just amazing, and I will try this demo ASAP. Yeah, go try it, by the way. It's on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Xbox Series S, and you can like have a drone that flies through the world. Again, this is like literally real time. All my gameplay that I captured on PlayStation 5 that you're seeing. Now we have Psycho Polar, who says, I hope WB makes a full-length Matrix game in future because an open-world Matrix game in UE5, Unreal Engine 5, is going to be awesome. And WB Games, you know, they've teamed up with Monolith. They've teamed up with studios who have made really good open-world games with Lord of the Rings. So that's not as far-fetched as you might think. And I really hope this is an indication of what could be happening with the Matrix in the future. Hopefully we see an entire open world game with these type of action sequences, with the feeling of being in a movie while being able to explore an entire open world. That would be badass. But there it is, everyone. The latest happenings around Cyberpunk. I really, really hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more updates. And thank you for watching.